Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins. Before we have a closer look at all the content, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that do want to take the next step in your game and improve it even more, scan the QR code that is here on the screen or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtom you can find in the description down below. That will take you to our platform where you can find all our premium guides, checkpoint challenge, tour play, and tournament play. Last but not least, the info box on the right hand side gives you the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 5 of the Sakura Hills. We are going to use the driver that gives us the most power possible when it comes to playing in headwind. If we do have a tailwind, we can come around by using a more accurate driver such as the rock or the quarterback. Now, power 2 ball is what I'm using, a katana. And I'm using overpower here to get myself to a decent distance. Sure, using a power 3 ball will allow you to use less overpower, but it could also risk going more in between clubs on the approach. 343 yards. Now, we are using the sniper on the second shot. We're gonna be somewhere between min and mid distance, ensuring to have the ball guideline to go through the hole as we have the ball to roll uphill, and it's all about finding a good spot here for our first bounce, and that's the tricky part with this rough bump. And the thing you need to have in mind here is, like, if you do not fancy the rough bump, then you will have to go directly onto the green because you don't really have much fairway to play on before the green, and then the Guardian would, if so, be the better wood club to use, that it has more backspin and will allow you to just aim at the green and have no risk of losing out on the birdie. But the eagle is most definitely going to be super difficult to get, so the rough bump is by far the best chance in my opinion, but you should definitely have in mind the Guardian if you do feel that those type of rough bumps that did being displayed there is not something for you. For hole number 4 of the Gokasho Bay, playing from the front tee, we are attacking the pin by bouncing with our first bounce above the bunker. Use a long iron that can give you minimum 4 bars of backspin. As either the backbone or the Goliath, Saturn could also be played, doesn't really matter. What needs to be said though, if you do have a Grizzly or a B52 that allows you to have a very good ball guideline or better ball guideline than a backbone, I would strongly advise you to play with that play with that club. It's because playing with a good ball guideline will help you aim for the pin, because now we're going to have to guess. And even though we're making a good educated guess, it's still going to be very difficult to be spot on all the time. When it comes to the adjustment, we're playing max plus 20 here. You don't really have to play with any good ball, so a navigator is definitely going to be a very good one to use. Gokasho Bay hole number 6 here from the front tee. We are playing it much differently than what we are doing from the second and the third tee, and that's because the tee box is located much more right. We do want to just play it straightforward, not trying to do anything stupid here. Using 4.5 bar top spin together with the 1 left spin, half a ball of curl to the left. If you do want to push this drive even harder, you can use a power 2 ball or a power 3 ball, or for that matter, you can use a power 4 and a power 5 ball as well. But if you're not having like a very good tailwind and you can blast the ball to be close to green, there is no point in pushing with some of the better balls, because the only difference that would be is that you would leave a wood club from min instead of max, and it's still going to be a difficult shot to drop from distance. Try to find the sticky spot there on the fairway if you feel that you do have the time. That's going to help you to be consistently close with your approach shot. 10% elevation with our sniper, and we're gonna be, like I've already somewhat explained, we're gonna be somewhere between minimum and maximum distance of our club. Bounces on the fairway up onto the green, and we are missing this one just to the left, but with some minor tweaks, this could definitely be an albatross on our scorecard. For the par 3 of Sakura Hills, this is also an old classic. This is a par 3 where I remember when in the early days this was the par 3 to drop an hole in one on, because this is funneling down towards the hole in a very nice way. Top of the red ring by the rough line, I'm using a navigator here with approx 1 topspin, 10% elevation, and using medium distance here. Intention here is to bounce before the rough and the sand, letting the slope on the green take the ball to its home. Sure, you can go directly on the green, but I do not see in any value in that. It will, in my opinion, be harder to drop from distance. Now, missing just right, needed a little bit less adjustment, but we're coming in nicely, at least to stay for a simple birdie. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament text guides for the Hanami Heat 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash, the game expert and master division. Free to play paintball plays for those that do want to have an advantage over your opponents in this upcoming 9-hole cup. It's steady wins as well, so the qualifying round wins will be the same as for the final round wins. So sign up by scanning the QR code here on the screen, or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy via the link that is in the description down below. For hole number 1, here we are playing with our extra mile, and we're using a katana ball as well to allow us to use a lot of side spin, not just on the drive if we want to, but especially on the second shot. 4.5 bar top spin and 2 left spin, and ball guideline to point centered down the fairway. Adjust the max plus a 10, and then we are looking to hit a perfect ball to be just in a safe and comfortable way on the middle of the fairway, or in the middle of the fairway. Now, for the second shot, we're going to use our sniper, and the sniper is being used instead of the long iron due to its brilliant ball guideline. Also, the accuracy is very helpful. You can choose to play a rough bump if you would like. If you choose to play a rough bump, you play the rough bump with a minus 10% elevation. If you then decide to play a bounce over instead, if you cannot find a good spot into the rough, which I can't do that, then we're using the fairway before the rough, using spins to have the ball guideline slightly short of pin, and then using 10% elevation instead. You may wonder here, why am I using 10% elevation for a bounce over shot when I'm using a negative elevation such as minus 10 for a rough bump? The reason for that is that we are, with the 10% elevation, compensating for the push that we get from the wind after the first bounce. And that is something that we all need to have in mind, that if we're not compensating for the push from the wind after the first bounce, it's very easy to miss. And it's also therefore very easy, if you steer yourself blind on one fixed elevation for every single shot, you're gonna drop some, but you're gonna miss by a mile on some. So that's a very important learning thing to have in mind when it comes to elevation, that there isn't really any elevation that works every single time for the same type of shots. You need to really think outside the box and give yourself, allow yourself to tweak if necessary. For hole number 6 of the Sakura Hills from the front tee, we are starting with our extra mile, using all the top spin we can, which is 4.5 bars, and 2 right spin. We do want to play with a ball with a decent amount of power, this to be able to reach for the rough bump, which is what we want to play on the approach. Adjust max plus 10, then we are going to center the ball to hit perfect. The intention here now is to get this ball safely down the fairway without risking going into the rough on the left or right, or obviously just way up there in front. So this is a perfect way of getting the ball consistently to around the 350 yards. And from there, we're going to use our sniper. Now, I do totally understand that some of you may not be a fan of doing rough bumps, but if you're looking to drop shots like this from distance, you will increase your chances massively by going for a rough bump like this. And to be clear, even though it looks aggressive, it's not really an aggressive one, as you could adjust this one wrong with, both a ring too much and a ring too little, and you will still hit the rough. Ball guideline through the hole when we do have a slight headwind. Now I do adjust a little bit too much in the end, which is why we are missing on the left hand side, but we're using 10% elevation, then trying to judge what club range we are in. Are we close to min? Are we close to max? And then make a decision what type of club range we are using to decide what to play. In the end, a very safe way of getting an eagle with a good chance for an albatross. So on hole number 5, this is a short par 4 of the Gokasho Bay, where you can play a very safe way up to the left, but that's not what we're going to do. We are going to push it here with our drive, and unfortunately we do have some headwind, which make us being forced to play with minimum a power 2 ball. Power 3 ball would be even better, as that would even cover the direct headwind, and we don't have to go with any type of overpower there also. Max plus 10 using all the top spin that I can, combined with all the 3 right spin that I do have on the katana. This to push the ball right, to allow ourselves to be closer towards the green, and making then for not an easy but very makeable short iron. So now on the approach, we're looking to see in what type of club range we are in, and if possible, we want to bounce on a consistent and flat area, which is the fairway before the fringe or on the fringe. I would try to avoid a bounce or like aim close to any of the bunkers, because it is a bit glitchy close to them too. No elevation on the second shot through club distance. So here we're playing close to max club, as we are pretty close to max distance of our club. Adjustment being made, stand to the ball and hit perfect. Perfect ball it is, and it bounces on the fairway up towards the pin, dead center, for a lovely eagle here on hole number 5. Sakura Hills, hole number 2 from the front tee, and this is we're gonna start with the white ring by the bunker to the left and by the bunker to the right. So we're boxing in our backbone, and from there we're applying spins, half a bar right spin and 1.8 backspin. Now the backspin and the side spin will vary depending on what wind angle you have off tee, but for this type of wind angle the spins works really well. Adjust is going to be max plus 20. And once we have adjusted, we are going to center the ball and hit perfect. You don't have to play with a navigator if you don't want to, but I do believe that the navigator is a perfect ball to use on a par 3 like this, where we can reduce the wind a little bit and get some help with the wind push. Ball comes down and it rolls just right of the cup, being very close for the hole in one, but in the end a very safe way getting a birdie. For hole number 3, the Gokasho Bay, here we're gonna play with 4.5 bar topspin and 2 left spin. You can see here now that I'm looking to have the second bounce to be just by the edge of the rough line. This to allow for the tailwind to push the ball then over the rough, and we make sure that we're not rolling too long. Max plus 10 is the adjustment, and I'm using a quasar ball here, as there is no need to use any other ball in my opinion, as we do have the power enough for the drive. We do then have it for the second shot, and again, that's all that matters. Bouncing on the fairway over the rough, and we roll down the fairway nicely. On the second shot, we are going to play with our sniper, and the sniper is brilliant to choose here, playing from front tee, due to it from a lower level already have a good ball guideline. because that's the difficult part playing with a long iron, as the long iron in itself has usually a pretty crappy ball guideline until you get to a higher level of that club, which then is going to just only apply to a certain percentage of the player base. But using a sniper, majority does get the sniper into a semi-level pretty early. 10% elevation, true club distance, ball guideline either to or through the hole depending on wind angle. Bounces on the rough or in the rough, missing just left, meaning that we are slightly over adjusting our shot and need to tweak that for the next time. But it offers us a solid chance for an albatross. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins. If you do want to improve your game even more, scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtony via the link in the description down below. Last but not least, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications. Those 3 things will help the channel immensely. Thank you once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.